Why does Donald Trump want to screw immigrants?
Why?
Because the one he married won't screw him.
And just like that, the entire Trump Fox News universe had a complete and total meltdown.
Last night, I got the highest honor a late-night host can receive.
When did the comedy and entertainment shows, Laura, become an excuse for boorish political commentary?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Actor Diego Luna.
Oh, my
Guest
God.
hosted, I don't know who that is. Guest hosted for Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think I've ever watched a Jimmy Kimmel.
No one else is either.
Diego Luna, the Mexican actor, stepped in as guest host on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He didn't just tell a joke. He found the rawest nerve in the MAGAverse and plucked it on national television.
Is he speaking from experience? Why do we care, Laura? He's an actor.
Again, I don't even know who that is.
Well, he's an actor on a Disney Plus show, a Star Wars
Sorry,
show
I
called
missed that.
Andor.
Yeah, when you can't argue with the point, you just call the guy a silly actor. And finally, when all else fails, you get the stereotype.
By the way, Jimmy, that's my gift to you. Whatever name this woman has, I got her to finally watch your show.
But here's where the story gets good. Because Diego Luna wasn't intimidated. He wasn't scared. He took their biggest, ugliest threat and turned it into his opening line.
And if Fox News is talking about it, that means I'm probably on Donald Trump's radar now. So
He heard them sharpening their knives, so he brought out a bigger one and started the show.
I've taken a few extra precautions. I have my suitcase packed.
He even brought out his own lawyer to approve his jokes, turning their implied threat of retaliation into a running gag. He was laughing at them. He had all the power.
I've also hired an immigration lawyer. I come from a galaxy far, far away called Mexico. English is not my first language, so I hope you guys will help me if I get, deported.
The simple fact that a Mexican man was handed that microphone was already a statement. He hadn't even opened his mouth, and Trump world was already furious. The stage itself was the message.
At this point, Superman is the only illegal alien Donald Trump doesn't want to deport, right? But I do love it here. Whenever I come to the US from Mexico, everyone says, "Welcome to America," right? And I'm like, wait, but I was in Mexico. I was already in America.
He went from satire to substance. He decided to stop playing their game and start his own. First, he armed himself with the one thing they can never spin: cold, hard facts.
They pay a lot of taxes, a lot of them, with their jobs. 22 undocumented immigrants contributed around $96.7 billion worth of taxes.
While Trump was screaming about freeloaders, the very people he was trying to deport were holding the country together, Diego dropped a simple, brutal truth.
I've never been able to fully understand how it is that someone like Donald Trump is able to acquire this level of power. I always struggle to understand how his hate speech can take root in a country whose nature has always been a welcoming one.
It was powerful to hear Diego questioned how someone could gain so much influence by stoking fear, especially in a country that's built on a history of welcoming people. He really drove home the point that immigrants aren't just statistics. They're our neighbors, our friends, and they're the ones who literally help build and sustain this country, often while living in fear.
When LA burned, immigrants, workers risked their lives to stop the flames.
Luna emphasized the contributions of undocumented immigrants, citing their significant tax contributions, while challenging the narrative of them being freeloaders.
You know, one of the worst parts of hosting a late-night show is that I have to keep up on what President Trump is doing every second. Trump has been updating everyone on the situation in the Middle East. It is very complicated, but thankfully, your president is a political genius.
You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
When the political genius describes a global conflict like a bar fight, there's really not much left to add.
So presidential, right? Trump was very disappointed in Israel and Iran yesterday because they didn't obey his rules on the ceasefire.
It's got to calm down. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded. They didn't have to unload. Israel unloaded a lot. The biggest load that we've seen. When I say, oh, happy with them, I'm not happy with Iran either.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the one who gave them 12 hours. This is not how you get people who are obsessed with war to stop fighting. These are addicts. You don't say, in 12 hours, you have to stop using cocaine. And to pass the time, here's a pound of cocaine, I'll be back tomorrow. You know? Okay, enough. Enough of Donald Trump. Yes, yes.
Beyond the killer monologues and that real love he showed for the Latino community right here in LA, Diego Luna totally used his platform to lift up others. Over his 4 nights as guest host, he interviewed 4 incredible Latinas. He just spotlighted their talent, honored their work, and gave them so much space to shine. And seriously, his chat with the legendary civil rights icon Dolores Huerta? That was pure gold.
How do you keep your positivity? How do you keep the hope? What is it that keeps you moving forward?
Well, I have seen over the years or the decades that I've lived that you do see change. It takes a long time sometimes, but the one thing that we know is that change happens when people are the ones that make it happen. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. And that's when, as the poet Pablo Neruda said, you know, you can cut all the flowers, but you can't hold back the spring.
That's not a wish. It's a historical fact. From labor rights to civil rights, nothing has ever changed in this country until the people decided to change it. And in that moment, the final message became clear. The real question isn't who has the microphone, it's who has the power.
Okay, let's do it. Who's got the power? People power! What kind of power? People power!
Luna's performance served as a reminder that real change comes from collective action and empathy, urging viewers to engage in the ongoing conversation about immigration and belonging. And that's right, true status isn't given, it's taken. This video features commentary and satire from a televised segment involving the host of Late Night Show, Diego Luna, addressing public figures, including Donald Trump and media outlets such as Fox News. All references are based on verified broadcasts, public statements, and widely reported reactions. We do not present private information or speculative claims. This content fully complies with YouTube's community guidelines and fair use policy and is intended for commentary, media critique, and public discourse. If you found this coverage helpful, balanced, or worth thinking about, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching.